all-wheel drive vehicles throughout New England by DraftKings, the official one-day fantasy baseball partner of your Boston Red Sox. By the 2017 Kia Sportage, visit anykiadealers.com to learn more. And by Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. It's Mass Mentoring Night at Fenway, and here's Juliana and her mentor Shannon with tonight's Rockies lineup, brought to you by your New England Chevy dealers.
Thanks, Mr. O'Brien. Here is tonight's Rockies lineup. Leading off in center field, Charlie Blackmon. At second, DJ LeMahieu. At third base, Nolan Arenado. In right field, Carlos Gonzalez. The first baseman, Mark Reynolds. In left field, Gerardo Parra. The DH, Ryan Rayburn. At catcher, Tony Wolters. And the shortstop, Christian Adames.
Ladies, great job as Blackmon gets in. And the first knuckleball from right is on the way. Bunted at and missed for strike one, and we're underway. Red Sox starting pitcher presented by your New England Audi dealers. It is Stephen Wright. He's 3-4, a .252 ERA. And he tossed a complete game worthy of a victory his last time out, but he was denied the win. He took a 3-2 loss at Kansas City. And that one a bit high for a ball. Blackmon followed by LeMahieu and then Arenado here in the first inning. The 1-1 pitch, and that drops down low. Jerry, looking forward to some visits tonight from the '86 Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Roger Clemens joining us, Jim Rice joining us within the first 4 innings of this ball game, so that's going to be great.
Check swing, and that's inside. Jim Rice barely got out of the dugout because Hanley had a hold of his jersey, if you saw that, and would not let him go. Not for a while anyway.
Finally did, and Jim made it out there.
3-1 and a strike.
Back to the fastball on the 3-1 count to run it to 3-2. A couple of fastballs in this at bat. First pitch was a fastball, and then again on the 3-1 count.
Wright went 8 innings in that last start, and he struck out 6, and he gets number 1 here. Came all the way back to strike out Blackmon.
Now the Red Sox defense is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. They're 5th in the American League, 22 errors in 45 games. Travis Shaw will be at third base, Xander Bogaerts to shortstop, Dustin Pedroia at second, Hanley Ramirez the first baseman. Left to right, Blake Swihart, Jackie Bradley Jr. and Mookie Betts, and Ryan Hennigan doing the catching for Stephen Wright.
The umpires brought to you by ToyotaCertified.com. That's Hunter Wendelstadt behind the plate. Gabe Morales, Tripp Gibson, and Jerry Lane have the bases tonight here for Game 2. Red Sox winners last night and are now back in first place by a full game over the Baltimore Orioles. The 0-1 to LeMahieu is knocked foul. He's hitting .310 with 2 home runs.
Got a mini 4-game hitting streak going for himself right now.
Oh, what a day we've had in New England.
And this is baseball weather, Dave.
It's about time. Just gorgeous. Swung on and missed. It rolls away from Hannigan. He'll have to throw on to first, and that'll complete the strikeout. Nice start for Wright, back-to-back Ks. Tonight's weather is brought to you by Benjamin Moore, the official paint of the Boston Red Sox. 84 degrees right now.
Nice.
And where available, this telecast can be heard in Spanish. Select the SAP button on your TV remote. SAP presented by ToyotaCertified.com. Search for your factory-backed Toyota certified used vehicle right now. It's good to know the factory has your back.
Buenas noches, amigos.
Nolan Arenado gets in, a .292 hitter with 14 home runs. But he had trouble with Mr. Price last night. He was 0 for 4, and he struck out 3 times.
Yeah, actually, the Red Sox have got him in a pretty good stretch right now. He's 0 for 12 coming in tonight's action against Stephen Wright.
And the 1-0 from the knuckleballer. That drifts in there for a strike. Well, he's got to love the conditions tonight.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, Stephen was talking the other day about pitching inside, and he likes pitching in domes. He said, but it's a strange feeling. He said it's almost like you're in the gymnasium pitching. He said it feels weird, but he likes the action on his knuckleball when he's inside.
There's no real wind here tonight as far as blowing in or really out stiff to either direction, left or right field or even center field. So that one pops out of the mid of Hannigan. And what they hate more than anything is when it's raining.
Hannigan not sure if this ball was going to be called a strike. Watch him hustle after this after he gets off the bottom of his glove. He thinks it might have been called a strike and he'd have to throw the guy out at first base.
With a 252 earned run average. Here's the 2-2. Swung on and missed. Well, Hannigan had to fight right through Wendelstedt onto first base safely as Arenado, despite the strikeout. So Wright's going to have to get 4 outs.
That's exactly what we're talking about. I mean, there's no guarantee on a third strike that the catcher's going to be able to handle the baseball, and that's a very difficult one, the one that's upstairs. It goes all the way back to the backstop, and Arenado able to get to first base by the time Hannigan tracks it down. Always seems like the one up high really gives the catcher a problem.
That is a pass ball. That's a tough one. And Hunter Wendelstedt is one of the larger umpires you're going to encounter if you're trying to run through him, as Hannigan attempted to do. So that brings up Gonzalez, hitting .271 with 5 home runs, and he cuts and foul tips it into the mid. That knuckleball early on is really dancing.
Yeah, it's got it under control here in the first inning. 3 strikeouts, and of course the ball getting by Hannigan. That's why you have the base runner at first base. Nobody in this lineup has faced Wright before.
2 down, a man on. That one disappeared. And it's quickly 0-2.
And we see a lot of knuckleballs dart down and into left-handers. That one actually went away from Gonzalez. You see the late action here breaking away from him. That's a little bit different.
He's looking for his 4th strikeout in the first inning. Little bit high, according to Wendelstedt, and it did miss.
Well, again, Hannigan was battling that high when it did dip a little bit at the end, came close to being a strike. It almost gets up in the eyes of the catcher.
Wright's 1-2 will not be made, and dancing back in safely is Arenado. That performance by Steven last time out was his 2nd complete game in his last 3 starts. Beat the Yankees on Sunday, May 8th by going 9 innings, allowing 3 hits and 1 run in a sensational effort. 1-2, runner going. That's outside. Here's the throw down to second, and in plenty of time to get him. The peg by Hannigan to cut down Arenado. And that retires the side with the Sox coming up in their favorite inning. Well, here come the Red Sox against the right-hander Chad Bettis. His first one is in there for a called strike, and Jerry, he loves to work fast.
Now Bettis, to see the numbers, making his 10th start, 4-2, 4.18 ERA.
Brought to you by McDonald's. I'm loving it. Mookie hitting .279, 9 homers, 34 runs batted in. He gets it. He throws it. He's a sinker baller. 1-2 to count.
He's faced the Red Sox one time, and that was in relief back in 2013 at Coors Field.
2-2. Mookie 1 for 4 with an RBI last night. He has hit safely in 5 in a row. And the 2-2 from Bettis. Tagged into center. Blackmon backing up though, and he's there. Mass mentoring night at Fenway. Shannon and her mentee Juliana are back with the Red Sox lineup, brought to you by buyatoyota.com.
Thanks, Mr. O'Brien. Here's tonight's Red Sox lineup. Leading off in right field, Mookie Betts. At second base, Dustin Pedroia. The shortstop, Xander Bogaerts. The DH, David Ortiz. At first, Hanley Ramirez. In center field, Jackie Bradley Jr. At third base, Travis Shaw. The catcher, Ryan Hannigan. In the left field, Blake Swihart.
Great job, ladies. No score here in the bottom half of the first inning, and Pedroia the batter, and starting a run of 6 consecutive 300 hitters for the Red Sox, hitting .303 with 6 homers. And the 2-0 from Bettis is hammered foul. Good night for Pedroia last night. You see what he's done in interleague play. He added to that with 3 hits yesterday. In fact, nobody has hit the National League. No one has hit in interleague play better in the history of interleague play than Pedroia, as he pops to Gonzalez. 2 fast outs.
The Rockies defense is brought to you by DraftKings. They're 4th in the National League, 20 errors in 44 games. Nolan Arenado at third base. Christian Adames, the shortstop. DJ LeMahieu, the second baseman, and Mark Reynolds at first. Left to right, Gerardo Parra, Charlie Blackmon, and Carlos Gonzalez. And Tony Walters doing the catching for the Rockies.
Now to red-hot Xander Bogaerts with a 17-game hitting streak as he gets in there. And a breaking ball finds the mark.
Pretty good curveball right there to start off Bogaerts.
Fastball inside. Fans, be sure to stop by Plainridge Park Casino. Plainridge Park Casino is the official sponsor of winning. And Bettis with a 1-1. He would not chase. Roger Clemens will be joining us when we go to the top half of the second inning. Here's the Rocket. 2-2.
Another good curveball. That's a couple now that Bogaerts has seen in this at bat. Started him with a breaking ball.
Xander leading the majors with 65 hits, and that is outside for a ball. Leading the American League with 65. Leads the American League in hitting at 349. And the 3-2. And it's inside for ball 4.
Well, that's the whole idea. Get somebody on in the first inning and get Ortiz, the cleanup hitter, to the plate.
Ortiz will climb in, hitting a hefty .333 with 11 homers and 41 runs batted in. Last night he had a 4 RBI game. That's a season high for Ortiz.
Little different shift put on now. They put that second baseman LeMahieu back on the outfield grass. Last night they were hugging the dirt.
93 on the gun and right on the black. On pace for 72 extra base hits. At Fenway this year, he has been a monster. Scoreless here in the first inning, but the Red Sox with a base runner. Popped him up, but foul and out of play as we go back to last night.
A big night again for David Ortiz. You can see here he gets a ball away, defeats the shift by going on the ground to the opposite field, driving in a couple of runs. And then Ortiz pulling the ball right down that right field line. 2 more come across for David.
One-two from Bettis, and he popped it up. And that will retire the side. 1 man left. Roger Clemens will be joining us in just a moment here from Fenway. We are scoreless after 1. The Red Sox moment honoring Roger Clemens and the '86 Red Sox, April 29, '86. What a night. 20 strikeouts against the Seattle Mariners. Complete game, 3-hitter, 20 Ks. Roger had himself a year. 24 wins, the Cy Young, the MVP, a .248 earned run average. Well, that's putting a season together.
It was fun. I mean, for me, I think we talked about it at one point when I was here a couple weeks ago, but it was like a stepping stone for me to show my teammates that I was healthy. And it got us going pretty good.
Well, I would think so. And a hard ground ball up the middle. That'll be a base hit for Gonzalez, and the first base runner since that strikeout and pass ball in the first inning off Stephen Wright.
That must have been fun today to see the guys. You lose touch with a lot of the guys over the years, obviously, and then all of a sudden you're back together in the center of the field. That's got to feel pretty good.
It was great, Jared. It was great to see a bunch of the guys, and you know, we missed Hursty, I think, Calvin. There's a few guys not here, but it was a good collection of guys, and just big smiles when you see them. And you know, like I said, there's 2 of them you just saw right there. You know, Dwight Evans and Jimmy Rice. They showed me the ropes along with Bruce Hurst quite a bit when I was 23 years old.
Reynolds, the batter here. And I got to ask you, when you get back together with all those guys, is it like being a team again? Do you turn into a 23-year-old again?
Well, I do. I mean, I take a backseat to all the guys and listen to stories, and we did quite a few interviews today. I think they're going to put together a little special, and so you had some. I had some questions asked to me that I had totally forgot that happened during the year, and I tried to respond to them, and it was a lot of fun.
Heading down to second base, Gonzalez, and he will reach as that knuckleball continues to dance.
A little humidity. That ball might dance a little bit tonight.
That time there, the runner at first base, Gonzalez, wasn't quite sure at first how far this got away from Hannigan, but again it hits the bottom part of the glove, and it took a while for Gonzalez at first base to take off the second, but he finally does get in a scoring position.
It's already 2 pass balls charged to Hannigan. 1-1 to Reynolds, and there's another one that pops out of his mitt and down to third base. Gonzalez. Boy, this is something, and it's a tough night for Mr. Hannigan already.
And you can imagine waking up in the morning and know that your duty that night is to catch a knuckleball. That's got to be it's got to be an uncomfortable day.
They're going to rule that a wild pitch.
Well, the knuckleball, you could do that with all of them.
Yeah. So man at third with nobody out. And tap to the right side. That's going to get the run in as Pedroia goes to first base to retire Reynolds.
Hey, Roger, let's ask you about that 86 club. I mean, you know, part of something special. And when did you really feel, you know, that this club, that club there had the ability to go to the World Series?
I think after All-Star break, you know, you start really looking at numbers and seeing what it's going to take to get in. I think we won 94, 95 games. You know, Donnie Baylor, who we didn't see Donnie today, but Donnie, I think, led the team in home runs. He was 36, 37 years old. You know, again, we had some great seniors on the team that led by example, showed us younger players. And then we had, you know, I think, you know, I had 24 wins. Oil King came along with 16 or 17 or 18. Hursty had his. So everybody kind of, you know, played that part. You have to have that on a championship club. You got a 20-game winner. And you got to have a guy coming in there behind you with 17, 18 wins, Jared, as you know, and then next thing you know, you got a chance to be in the playoffs, and you know, that's what happened.
Parra takes that one in there for a strike. A .282 hitter with 3 homers and 22 runs batted in. 1-0. The Rockies have the lead.
This is a great seat you guys got. I said it last time. You can call balls and strikes from right here. This is fantastic.
It's easy from up here, isn't it?
It really is. It sure looks easy, doesn't it?
I mean, you look out at the grass and say, man, there's a lot of room to get base hits, but it's not the case when you're down there.
No, it looks a lot easier up here. You're right.
And the game tends to look a little slower up here, but down there it's warp speed, isn't it?
That baseball comes by your earlobes really fast when they square it up. You can hear it.
Cutting a miss for strike 3 as Parra goes down, and that's 4 strikeouts in the ball game for Stephen Wright, and 2 away in front of Ryan Rayburn. You talk about the personality of a team. When you look at that 86 team, how do you define the personality of that group?
We had a lot of guys that knew how to win and that wanted to win, and then you trade and you get a guy like Hindu, who comes in with a big smile and just a lot of hop in his step. Spike On, who had for
little flare in the center field coming on Jackie Bradley. It's going to drop down for a base hit.
Spike On was as feisty as anybody comes, to say it nicely, and of course, I knew that playing with him at the University of Texas, how bad that he, you know, how much he wanted to win, and that's what you got to have. And like I said, it was fun watching how everybody, even the guys in the bullpen, settled into their role and knew what their role was. So just a great deal of fun. I mean, I tell you what, I tell people 6 World Series I was in, and the 86 and the 2001 World Series were probably my 2 most emotional. Your emotions go up and down so much. It was incredible.
Remember you jumping on the horse, the police horse there, and the legend is Jim Rice said, "Rocket, you go do that. You get up on there."
Yeah, I think Jimmy was pushing me out that way to get on that horse, and I wasn't real sure about it, and then the officer looked at me and, "Come on." So it was good. Jumped right up there.
You look very much at home. The 0-1 pitch will be down and away for a ball here on Walters. That's great to see all of you back out there, and brings back memories for all Red Sox fans who were around at that time and rooting for this franchise. When you think about those golden moments and a team that came oh so close to a world championship.
I agree, and I think that, you know, really when I got into town, it was Larry Bird and Bork. I mean, it was, I mean, and so you watch those guys, and they were winning all the time, and then so it was nice to get you know, us as a team and the Red Sox and the fans and everybody back on board, and we got going again, and it was just it was fantastic summer.
1-2 hammered. Pedroia will fill the hole. And it was Larry Bird who said, after you struck out 20, he's taking the spotlight away from me. This is going to be the case for a long time to come. Rocket, always great to see you.
Good to see you all.
Thanks
again.
so much.
Thanks,
Jim Rice will be with us in just a little bit. A run scores for Colorado. They're on top 1-0 at Fenway. The festivities here. Fenway Park, 1-0. Colorado has the lead as we go to the bottom half of the second inning. It'll be Ramirez, Bradley, and Shaw against Bettis. Hanley at .311 with 4 home runs. Hit by a pitch on his right big toe last night by De La Rosa. The X-rays were negative. And he cracks a ground ball to LeMahieu for a fast out. 1 away in the second.
Yeah, John Farrell checked with Hanley before making out the lineup card today. Hanley came in. He said, "Yep, I'm ready to go." So he was put back in the lineup. Very lucky he didn't break a toe.
Well, now Jackie Bradley with a 28-game hitting streak. He is tied with Wade Boggs for the 5th longest in Red Sox history. Boggs hit 28 in a row in 1985, and that's in there for a strike. Last night, very first pitch he got, he ripped a double to extend the hitting streak, and this one is inside.
Tried to bury that cut fastball inside on Bradley that time. Pretty much straight up in the outfield, straight up, slightly to pull in the infield.
1-1 fouled away. Jackie has raised his batting average 124 points during the streak.
Now that's a hitting streak. That's putting together some big numbers.
Bettis with a 1-2 and a roller foul. Red Sox obviously doing a lot of things right, including all these hitting streaks, as you see what he's done during his plate appearances, but did not hit a home run last night. That ended the franchise record at 22 straight games with a homer. 1-2. A little bit high.
It's interesting. Colorado goes into a shift now with 2 strikes on Bradley. Usually it's the other way around. You move toward the opposite field. This time they play him to pull more with 2 strikes on him.
He pulls that one wickedly, but foul on a cutter. He's got a cutter. He's got a little bit of a slider too. Former Texas Tech Red Raider. He got to pitch in college in his own hometown in Lubbock, Texas. Here's the 2-2. Right back to the hill. And Bettis will make that play for the second out.
A changeup that time had Bradley out in front just a little bit, and a nice big hop, nice easy hop for Chad Bettis. Here's the off-speed pitch. A little bit off the outside part of the plate, but again, you know, with 2 strikes, very tough to take that pitch. You don't want to get rung up. Tried to pull it, and the one big bounce back to the pitcher.
So Jackie 0 for 1. Travis Shaw next. Hitting .301 with 6 homers, 29 RBIs. He's had a cool homestand. He's 2 for 15. Two down, bases empty, 1-0 Rockies. And that's outside. Usually by now the Red Sox have about 3 or 4 runs.
Yeah, we don't know what to do right now. Bottom of the second already, and they haven't scored.
Doesn't look like your scorecard. It's like somebody else's. Where Red Sox have scored 264 runs. And that's right into the shift. And in plenty of time to get it. 1, 2, 3 they go. That's all for the Sox. 2 quiet innings tonight. Jim Rice will join us in a moment. Brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Some stats and facts about the '86 Sox. They won 95 games in the American League pennant. The Rocket won 24. Wade Boggs at 357 and Jim Rice at 324 with 110 RBIs. Christian Adames will lead things off here as we go to the third inning. 1-0 Colorado. He'll be followed by Blackman and then LeMahieu for the Rockies of Walt Weiss. And a foul tip off Hannigan. These are two guys going tonight who work quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. Both right. Most knuckleball pitches do. Wakefield did. And Bettis really works quickly. Trying to slow up their pattern a little bit by taking a little extra time in the box.
Up high, DraftKings, the official one-day fantasy baseball partner of the Red Sox. Experience the thrill of playing on DraftKings now. Play free daily using the promo code NESSON at DraftKings.com. Adames, a switch hitter, cracks his bat as Pedroia will dig it. One man gone. Back to the top of the order now. Well, a single, a wild pitch, a pass ball, and a ground out got in the only run so far as Blackman approaches the plate. He struck out to start it.
Yeah, Dave, you talked about the quickness of both the Wright and Bettis in this game, how quick they work, and it's really kind of fun playing defense behind guys like that. You know, you're really kind of on your toes all the time, expecting things to happen very quickly.
You had to love it, you know, playing defensively behind guys who work fast.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than standing out there with a slow worker on the mound and you're kind of thinking about all different things. And you get more focused, I think, when you have somebody working at a good pace.
Fouled away. Jim Rice will be joining us in just a moment.
He's late. Come on, Room. Come on down here.
My guess is Hanley still had hold of his jersey. That must have been it. Now the Hall of Famer joining us here as we continue the celebration of the '86 Boston Red Sox. Jim, great to see you.
Good seeing you guys.
You guys all look terrific down there today, but I did notice that Hanley would not let you go. He had you by the jersey in the dugout.
He did, and Farrell told me to just let it go because I was going to knock him out. He said he need him tonight.
You almost tripped.
Yeah, but think about it, Roger. Don't worry about it. I got your back. So if Tex said he had my back, I didn't have anything to worry about.
There you go. Well, what a season you had in '86. A lot of you guys had great seasons, but not only 110 RBIs, you had 200 hits that year.
You know, I never thought about it. And someone told me, say 200 hits, a lot of hits. But when you think about the issue, I think, what do you got, 263 one year? That's a lot of hits.
Yeah.
But I never really thought about it.
Yeah.
You know, Johnny Pesco was my hitting instructor. And he said, look, go up there and just try to get base hits. And that's what I did.
A lot of them.
How many did you get? What's the highest you ever gotten?
What's that?
How many hits you get? The highest
in a
year?
I never got 200. No, I might have got it somewhere around 178, 180 sometimes. You know, but never 200. I didn't walk enough. I was swinging the bat all the time. You know, you saw it. It was.
Yeah, but when you play every day and you had a team that I was lucky to play with, you went up a lot of times and you had a chance to get those kind of hits.
LeMahieu here, he struck out. Runner at first base after taking ball 4. Blackman back in, and he is a threat to steal.
You know, I asked Roger the same question I'm going to ask you is when did you feel with that '86 club that you guys had a real legitimate chance to get to the World Series? Was there a moment during the season where you said, you know, this is good?
Spring training.
Really?
I think I always started spring training because you see the club that you're going to break with, and you see the guys that could play every day, and everyone knew their role. When you know your role, it's much easier to play the game of baseball. You know, you would play small ball, you hit behind the runner. That's what we taught. And the guys that were behind me, they came up the same way I did. Marty Barry and the rest of the guys, we got to hit the ball to the right side. We got a guy on second base. We got to hit the ball to the right side. And we saw things like that, and we had to pick each other up. But I think when you have this kangaroo court, you'd be amazed at how many guys hate to pay a fine when it's only $15. If you don't hit the ball to the right side, you leave a run out there. They don't want to do that. So I think by having fun with the game, that helped us a lot.
Yeah, 15 was, you don't want to let that go.
No.
No scratch at all.
No.
I
you can lose a couple of thousand at a card game, but it doesn't matter. You don't want to give up that 15 in kangaroo court.
I didn't play cards, but you got guys like that, though. It's like that $15 is hurting, boy.
Now, when you look at that team and you look back, was there a turning point, a trade, a personnel move that put you over the top, in your opinion?
I think you look at the players that we had. I mean, when you talk about Dave Henderson, you talk about the guys that we had. You had to go back and you look at Bill Buckner, the things that, I think Buckner remind me of a lot of Carl Yastrzemski. I watched Carl, how he prepared himself, and to have Buckner to come in every day and have his whole body in ice. I think that changed a lot there when those guys saw what this guy had to do to prepare himself. But when you had the Hindu, I mean, Dwight came through. You had all the guys contributing, and when you have a team like that, and you pick each other up, that's the part of baseball that I think you can't really explain to the fans when you have guys that you're family with.
So it really felt that way. And
in spring training.
And when you get together now, those same feelings are there of being a family because of what you went through?
The same feeling is there, and you look at other people and say, man, you gotten fat. You gotten old. You gotten great.
My family's gotten fat.
And that's the whole thing about it. But I don't think that you can go back. Even though it worked out in '86 or you made a trade or someone came over, I think the people that made the trade or came in and really got with the Red Sox, I think they knew the history of the Red Sox. And when you know the history of the Red Sox and you come to an organization like this, you got to have pride. So I think the history and the pride that we brought with guys that came in and helped the Red Sox win in '86.
Did you think when you won the pennant you were the best team in baseball? Did you have that feeling, we're going to go all the way, we're going to win the World Series?
Yes. Yeah. Because, back then you had to win your Eastern Division. Eastern played the Western Division. There wasn't no wild card or anything like that. So, yes, you had to be the best at that time in order to get to the World Series. With all this wild card and things now, I mean, you look at the Red Sox with the first 2 years they won the World Series with the wild cards, right? And so just about getting in there now, having a wild card, you got a chance to win the World Series. Back then, you didn't have that. You went home. You watched everybody on TV.
Yeah, right.
That's it.
A little more pressure.
And we finished before October the 25th.
Which ought to be the case, right?
Yeah.
I mean, playing in November,
Yeah, you don't mind playing in November if you're those two teams.
That's right.
If you're those two teams playing in November, that's pretty good. But if you're not, no. That's a long, long, long winter.
We're talking to Clemens, and as an outfielder, when he's pitching, I mean, it's almost like sometimes you just get caught there watching because he strikes out so many guys. You really got to stay on your toes when a guy like that's pitching, because all of a sudden, maybe one comes your way. You got to be ready for it. But he can lull you to sleep out there because he's striking out so many guys.
Yeah, but when you're talking about things like that, they're going to, put you to sleep out there. But it's a situation where you knew that if you had Clem, you had Hurst, we had a 4-man rotation at the time. You knew that you were not going to go out there and lose 3 or 4 games in a row. We had stoppers. I think every team would look at a stopper, but the Red Sox had 3 stoppers. You had Nip, you had the all can that could win a ball game, Tex, Hursty. So we had a lot of guys that we knew that if we lost 1 or 2 games, third game's ours. That was it. We were going to come out the hole. And I think that's what you need. You need a guy to go out there and, Raj come in sometimes and say, look, I only need a couple of runs. Just give me 1 or 2. And Hurst to go out there with that big curveball to get over. And we had gamers. We had gamers. And that's the thing about baseball. We had gamers.
Chatting with the Hall of Famer Jim Rice about the 1986 Boston Red Sox, who were celebrated here at Fenway Park, and a beautiful night before the game. Big swing and a miss by Arenado, who whiffed in the first inning. Colorado with a 1-0 lead. It was great to see all of you guys in one place, most of you guys in one place. And as a kid watching that 86
here
team,
we go.
No, but just getting into it every single day.
The kid part.
The kid part. Sorry about that.
Make us feel old. Kid part.
Got to learn my lesson on that one. But it's so cool to see you all in one place, because you do feel like a kid again. As that one is lined. Oh, leaping catch by Bogaerts on a nice play. Thanks for making us feel like a kid again. Always great, Jim. Thank you very much.
I'm going to tell Joseph on you. Thanks, man.
Hall of Famer Jim Rice with us. Always great to see him. 1-0 Colorado. High fly down the right field line by Hannigan toward the pesky pole, and that one is going to go fair, and it's gone. That's a home run. He snuck it inside the pole. And the Red Sox have tied the game. Swinging at the first pitch here in the bottom of the third inning. Hannigan with his first home run of the season. A pesky pole homer to tie it.
Everybody's in a rush. Bettis is in a rush throwing the pitch, and now Hannigan in a rush swinging it at the first pitch. Going to the opposite field and wrapping it around pesky pole.
Tell you, the first base ump Morales took a long look before he made the call. As you look at the swing, and now the umpires are getting together.
Well, let's see. Can you see? It's hard to tell. I lost the baseball on the replay.
See if we can pick it up here. Boy, that looked like it disappeared on the other side. Didn't it?
If you lost it on the other side of the pole, it probably won't be a home run.
So Walt Weiss asked them to take a look at it, and they are. So we'll see if this one comes back. At the moment, ruled a home run and a tie game.
Always a tough call down that right field line for the umpires, for everybody involved. Take one more look. We can clearly see the baseball here. Does it go to the left of the pole? I think it goes to the right of the pole.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's probably a foul ball.
Yep.
See how they view it in New York. If in fact it is ruled a foul strike. Walt Weiss getting to play under review. We have had several like that already this season. Of course, Dustin Pedroia hit one off the pole. Clay Buchholz was victimized by a couple down there.
Yeah, one way to look at it as a viewer of that last shot that we had, if you can see the baseball all the way, it's probably a foul ball. That means it went to the right of the foul pole. Now take another look and watch the baseball. If you can see it all the way, it's probably a foul ball. Do you lose it? Let's see. I don't think so. Seems to me like it might be called foul.
And they're taking a long look.
That's tough, man. I've seen so many of those over the years, and they're just so hard to call from our angle. They're hard to tell on the field.
They have to have evidence in order to overturn it. So do they have a good enough view of this thing to rule it a foul ball? Taking quite a while here.
Now from this angle, if you lose the baseball, if you lose it, that means it's probably foul. And it seems to me like we did lose the baseball. So that would make it a foul ball. But we'll see what the umpires come up with after a very long look and a very tough call.
Well, on the scoreboard, they did not hesitate to put that run up there. Put it up in a hurry.
Yeah, put it up. Put it.
Hope it stays. Jerry Lane, who is the crew chief. The umpire with his back to you, waiting on the word, and they have word from New York, and here's the call. And it's going to be a foul ball.
That's what we thought.
So no run. They'll have to take that back. And no home run for Ryan Hannigan. Still waiting for his first and grabbing himself a bat. The crowd doesn't like the call, but given what we showed you, it looked like they got the call right in reversing it.
I agree, Dave. I believe they did. And we had a couple of different angles where you could see the baseball, where you could not see the baseball. And I think I'm convinced they got that right.
So 1-0 Colorado. And the 0-1 pitch down and in from Bettis. Hannigan hitting 179. He was hit on the hand the other day by a pitch, and that's really been stinging as he takes a pitch outside. The fast working righty. And that one tap foul. Swihart on deck. Are you going to whiteout now on your card?
Yeah, because I already put home run on there.
2-2 and a base hit. I'd rather have the home run, but he'll take the single.
At least Hannigan gets something to be happy about. You don't get the home run, but you do pick up the base hit to lead off the third inning. Right back up the middle, wide open up the middle for Hannigan.
You and I are the two people alive who still purchase whiteout. Not many do anymore.
There's a lot of that new fancy stuff out, but I don't like it.
Very fancy, too fancy.
Yeah.
Swihart, a .222 hitter, no homers, 2 RBIs. So Sox have their first hit against Bettis. Bettis took a no-hitter into the 8th inning against the Phillies last May 29th before he finally gave up a hit. You can see a guy like this getting into that no-hit territory as fast as he works. He's around the plate. He has the good sinker, so he gets a lot of ground balls.
He actually started his career out as a relief pitcher, but then moved into the starting rotation back in 2015 and has been there ever since.
Swihart 1 for 9 on the homestand, but he has pleasantly surprised the Red Sox by playing a steady left field. Got jammed and he fouled it off himself there. This greater coverage of baseball is brought to you by T-Mobile. Major League leaders as far as team batting in the month of May. The Red Sox #1 at .315. The Angels next at .382. It's been a terrific month for the Red Sox offensively.
315 as a team in the month of May. I mean, that's off the charts.
Red Sox with a record of 17-9 here at Fenway Park. There isn't a team in baseball that has won more home games than the Red Sox. The Orioles have tied the Sox in home wins at 17. It barely missed. Not sure it did, but it is called a ball on the count 2-2 on Swihart. One nothing the Rockies here in the third. And cut on and missed, and down he goes, and he's kind of limping out of there after fouling that ball off himself.
Now still limping back to the dugout as Blake Swihart. That fastball up and away from him, and first strikeout of the game for Bettis. Take a look at the foul ball that did get a piece of Swihart. It's a fastball inside that he's right on top of, and it goes right off. It looked like a shin.
Yeah, and he doesn't wear anything there. There's that big slow curveball for ball one. We had shots of a long conversation late in last night's game between Mookie and Coach Torey Lovullo. We both wanted to know what it was all about. It was a long conversation. So Torey told me that Mookie is one of the most curious players he's been around, and he constantly wants to know, what did I do tonight to help us win the game? And that's one of the things he was asking Torey last night. What did I do to help us win? Or baseball etiquette stuff like, well, we're up 4, the count's 3-0. Is it all right if I swing, if I get one to hit? And Torey said, yeah, that's okay in that situation. As he hammers a line drive foul there. He has a very high baseball IQ. He spends a lot of time with the coaching staff asking questions. And Torey told him that when he scored in the 8th inning on the Pedroia play where there was an error, it was very alert base running. He said that impacted the victory. That is something you did to help the Red Sox win the game.
We kind of highlighted that, didn't we, Dave, in the view from the booth today, talking about the base running of the Red Sox, how good it's been. And kind of led by number 50, Mookie Betts.
All the coaches concur, and you've been saying this really since opening day. It's a very good base running team.
Yeah,
it's a real plus for this group.
And it's not by accident. I mean, this is something that they really focused on a lot during spring training. Daily drills, running the bases, daily drills, you know, doing just about everything, and it's all kind of paying off for them. They have confidence in it.
One out, Hannigan on. There's a bloop toward right field, but Gonzalez right there. And there are 2 down.
Well, Betts last night, you could see him off first base, and it's kind of a little bloop out toward right field. He's reading it right now about halfway there. He knows it's going to drop in. Off to third he goes. It's going to be a bad throw, and he pops up. He sees the ball get by the third baseman, and he comes in to score without a problem. And, you know, speed like Betts can force errors by the defense. You put pressure on him.
Pedroia 0 for 1 as he takes one high and wide. He is flying to right. He has always hit the Rockies well. .395 in his career coming into play tonight. And just loves interleague play. In for a strike. Especially this year. He's now 10 for 22 this season in interleague games. Bogarts on deck. Red Sox are trailing 1-0 against Chad Bettis, who misses away. Bettis with a career record of 12-11, a .436 earned run average. As Jerry mentioned, a former reliever, now a starter, and he's considered one of their better starting pitchers. 4-2 coming into this one with a .418 ERA. Here's the 2-1 toward the hole, cut off by Arenado, the Gold Glover. He'll throw on and get him at first base, and that will retire the side. Red Sox get a hit. Nothing follows that. 1-0 the Rockies. Hunger program in partnership with Nesson and the Greater Boston Food Bank. Visit your Boston area Lexus dealer in May and donate non-perishable food items. You can also enter for a chance to win a Nesson VIP ballpark experience. For more information, visit Nesson.com/Lexus. Jerry Remy, Dave O'Brien with you from Fenway. 1-0 Colorado. So far, Wright has allowed a couple of hits. One of those to the man he's facing now, and Carlos Gonzalez, who singled and scored the only run in the game in the second inning.
Red Sox in the shift now with one strike on Gonzalez. They switch Bogarts to third base and put Shaw where Bogarts was. And of course they do that because with the strike on him, it's a less chance of a bunt from Gonzalez. So Travis Shaw moves, as you can see, and Bogarts.
Mark Reynolds on deck, and then Gerardo Parra. Some free swingers here. And there's another big cut by Gonzalez, who will strike out, and he rarely takes ball 4.
11 walks on the season, 37 strikeouts.
And Reynolds has the all-time strikeout leader for a single season. He's up next. The 1-2. Ground ball toward Bogaerts, a backhander, and he loses command of it. And Gonzalez is going to be safe at first base.
Had no chance. He had to go to his right. The ball was not hit very hot. Bogaerts knew it, as you could tell the way he was going after this. I don't even think he was going to try to throw it to first base. Loses the grip on it anyway, and that runner's going to be safe without a problem.
Hey, it's Winning Wednesday. If the Red Sox win, Plain Ridge Park Casino donates $777 to the Relay for Life of Greater Attleboro. So that's the third hit for the Rockies, and it'll bring up Reynolds, who has bounced around since 2010. He's played for Arizona, Baltimore, Cleveland, Milwaukee, the Yankees, St. Louis, and now Colorado.
Nice play by Hannigan right there. That knuckleball really took off on him. And somehow he's able to get way out to his right to make this play. Look at that thing sail. Just in a webbing of the glove, and it keeps the runner at first base.
The 1-0 pitch to the slugger. Swung on and missed. It's going to roll all the way to the backstop and up and into second base. Gonzalez. We've seen that several times tonight.
Yeah, that thing is dancing all over the place tonight. Very, very difficult for Hannigan to handle. This one goes inside. We saw the last one sail away. This time it goes inside. And there's no way that Hannigan, the catcher, knows which way it's going to break. I don't think Stephen Wright does.
Third pass ball charged to Hannigan in this game. (1-1). Line shot into center field. That's going to drop down for a base hit. Gonzalez into third. He's going to stop there as the throw is cut by Ramirez right near the mound. So they played it conservatively there. Runners on the corners, though, for the Rockies.
Yeah, nobody out. They don't want to take a chance, especially against Jackie Bradley Jr. to get thrown out at home plate. This ball hit very hard, and Bradley comes over to make the play. Now, he's not at third base yet when Bradley has it in the glove, so with nobody out, you don't take the chance. With two outs, they may have taken the chance of sending in a runner, but not in this situation.
To aboard, the hitter will be Gerardo Parra, who struck out his first time up. That's a 7-game hitting streak for Reynolds. Parra has played for Arizona, Milwaukee, and Baltimore. He broke into the majors in 2009, becoming the 100th player in Major League history to hit a home run in his first at bat. And the first one, bounding ball foul for strike one. Sox in the bottom of the fourth inning will have due up Bogaerts, Ortiz, and Ramirez. So far they have been shut down on one hit by Chad Bettis. And the 0-1 cut right through.
You can imagine the pressure on Hannigan when there's a man at third base and this knuckleball's coming in and you have no idea what direction it's going in. Trying to hold that glove as close to your body as long as you possibly can so you see the break.
2 strikes on Parra, 2 men aboard. And a big swing and a miss. Down he goes. Strike 3. That's a big K.
Second time he has got power tonight to strike out, and you're right, Dave, a big one with the man at third base. No contact. That one kind of stayed on a level plane, but it did move a little bit, as you'll see right there.
You could have read Rob Manfred's signature on that thing all the way home. Well, here comes Rayburn, who singled in the second inning. He's 1 for 1. Right, trying to get out of this with a double play ball and keep it 1-0. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Off the mitt. Here comes Gonzalez. He's going to slide in with a run. The throw came in anyway, but he was already across home plate to make it 2-0. Right back to your point, Rem Dog, about how terrifying that is with a knuckleballer and a guy at third base.
Yeah, and again, watch the movement, the late movement on this, how it just sails. And there's nothing Hannigan can do about that. I mean, you crouch behind the plate, you don't know which way it's going to go, and when it breaks that much, I mean, that's just nearly impossible to catch.
It's a wild pitch. And Reynolds advanced to second. So 2-0, the Rockies in front. That one line foul.
You know, it sounds nuts, but I mean, it's almost like the knuckleball right now is too good. You know, tone it down a little bit. It's become just about impossible for Hannigan to handle.
Two wild pitches and 3 pass balls already. That's how much it's moving. Here's the 1-2 now to Rayburn. In on the thumbs. Toronto has a 2-1 lead over the New York Yankees. They're in the 3rd inning. Yankees have been hot. They've won 6 in a row. 1-2, a big swing and a miss on a 69-mile-an-hour knuckleball, and he struck him out, and they're 2 away.
And the strikeouts piling up for Stephen right now. This one a little bit more manageable right here. It's got some movement on it, not the nasty movement that's breaking down and away or down and in. Most of that action directly over the plate.
Brings up the catcher Tony Walters, who's 0 for 1 with a ground ball to second. Right now he is their #1 catcher with Nick Hundley on the disabled list. It's pretty interesting because 3 years ago he was in the Cleveland system. He was an infielder until Terry Francona approached him one day in spring training and said, "I see a catcher in you." He never caught a game at AAA, so his rise behind the plate has been swift. Runner at second base, and he looks at a strike as he came back with a fastball.
I think so far in the game we've seen the fastball, knuckleball. I don't believe we've seen a curveball yet from Stephen Wright.
The 1-1 to Walters, and missed up top. Now 2 runs on 4 hits for Colorado. They try to even the series, which will end tomorrow, and then the Red Sox take off for Toronto and Baltimore. Should be a challenging road trip coming up. Here's the 2-1. Man, that's up high, and again Hannigan really had to stab at it.
Now those ones that are up and out of the strike zone, he almost jumps for them coming out of his crouch. See him set up right there. Up it goes, and so does Hannigan.
He's been like a jack in the box tonight. 3-1 is inside for ball 4. So Walters is on. That'll put him on at first and second. The second edition of Red Sox Magazine features a special in-depth look at Wade Boggs' career, as well as his thoughts on his upcoming number retirement Thursday at Fenway. For information on ordering your copy, email soxpubs@redsox.com. Christian Adames will step in next. He's at shortstop tonight. Their young star Trevor Story is not starting. He struck out 4 times last night and now leads the National League in strikeouts with 66 as that one is fouled away. So they're giving him the night off.
Well, after you've struck out that many times, it may not be a good idea to face a knuckleball the next game out.
And I think that factored in too. You're right. So he's watching. He's got a big future right now. He's in a bit of a slump. The 0-1, that gets by Hannigan. The runners will move up to second and third. So the beat goes on here. Another one getting by the Sox catcher.
Now, very seldom do you have a clean game when there is a knuckleball pitcher on the mound, but this has been exceptionally busy tonight for Hannigan.
That is his 4th pass ball. Well, that's tough to take, especially for a really good defensive catcher like Hannigan. Here's the 1-1. Reynolds at third base, Walters at second base, and the 2-1 home. Outside again.
See how shallow Mookie Betts is playing out in right field. I remember Tim Wakefield telling me one time that when he was pitching, he liked that off field to play shallow. Now he's playing shallow against a left-handed hitter right here, but he always felt like if they went the opposite way against him, it would not travel as far.
3-1 into center. There's JBJ right there to put it away. So in the end, given all those pitches, they only get one. But now lead it 2-0 as the Sox come to bat. Fourth inning coming up, and the trainers have been gathering around in between the last two innings around Ryan Hannigan on a very warm night here at Fenway Park. We don't know exactly what that's about as Bogaerts takes one in there for a strike, but Jerry's been doing obviously a lot of running back to the backstop.
Well, I do know that the end of last inning, John Farrell, when Christian Vasquez was warming up right between innings, it looked like he told him to go in the clubhouse and put your gear on. And it seemed like that's what he was saying. So you wonder if something was bothering Hannigan before he even went out there.
There's a high fly ball, that one driven deep to left field, rising up, and gone out of Fenway entirely. Xander Bogaerts launching one, and the Red Sox are on the board. He extends his hitting streak to 18 straight.
That's what we're talking about, Dave. You know, getting pitches to pull and hitting home runs, and that's exactly what Bogaerts did here. He got a curveball. Here comes the breaking ball. Bogaerts right on it. It's on the inside part of the plate. It's down in the strike zone, and that's a pitch that you can pull, and it's exactly what Bogaerts did. How about that head discipline on the breaking ball? Right down on it. Perfect. Just a beautiful swing.
You dropped the hammer. So 2-1, and here's Big Papi fouling that one off. Speedway, proud to be New England's first choice for value and convenience. For every Red Sox homer this season, Speedway donates $500 to Boston Children's Hospital. Stop by a Speedway store near you and pick up your Speedy Rewards card and start earning points today. Xander with his 5th home run, his 26th RBI. David Ortiz trying to make it back-to-back here in the 4th inning. Seeing Vasquez, looks like he's putting the gear on, indeed.
Yeah.
And so it appears the night will be over for Hannigan.
You wonder what it is, and you know, it could be from getting hit by the pitch the other day. Maybe that wrist is still sore on him.
He may be dehydrated.
Could be a number of things, but the fact is Vasquez will come in. He's talking to Wright right now, and it's kind of an indication of that. As I mentioned, you know, when he was warming up Stephen Wright between innings, I could see Farrell telling him, he was kind of like just motioning down his body, telling him to go in and get his equipment on.
Of course, Blake Swihart is already in the game as a left fielder, so he would be the backup to Vasquez if necessary tonight. But Christian about to enter this. Two to 1 Colorado. Red Sox with a mammoth home run from Bogaerts. And now the 3-2. And it's inside, and he walked him. So Big Papi is on. First time tonight any sign of trouble from Chad Bettis. He's been cruising until now. And Hanley will be next. And Ramirez 0 for 1 tonight. He's grounded to second. Last night hit by a pitch on the toe, so he has reached base somehow, even painfully, in each of his last 28 starts. First pitch will miss inside for ball 1. We go back to last night when he got hit.
Eventually had to leave the game after this. He was just taking a pitch that time, and it got him right off the right foot, the right toe, the big toe. But Hanley good to go today.
1-0 hammer toward third base, fair ball. Arenado into second, now onto first, but not in time. He is a stylish third baseman.
Yeah, he really is. And you know, I didn't expect him to go to second base on that the way he had to charge it. I thought he was going to first. He surprised me. But see, there's a case where he knows the speed of the base runner at first base, and even though he had to charge that ball, he knew he had a chance to get David Ortiz at second base, and very heads-up play. Keep a man out of scoring position.
He's a Gold Glover. I don't know. I think maybe it's a toss-up between Arenado and Machado, who is the very best third baseman in the game.
Yeah, Machado we know is really good. You know, this is a rare treat to be able to see Arenado play.
Here's Jackie Bradley swinging a line right, base hit into left field. He has just extended his inning streak to 29 consecutive games. And a lot of times recently he's been doing it on the first pitch.
Yeah, and a lot of times he's been doing it up the middle or to the opposite field, which is a great sign for Bradley. Being very, very aggressive. There's the fastball, two-seamer running away. It's a little bit toward the end of the bat, but great placement by Bradley.
So he's now tied Johnny Damon at number 4 on the Red Sox all-time list at 29 in a row. Hitting .413 during the streak with 29 runs batted in. And the Red Sox starting to charge Bettis here. Runners on at first and second for Travis Shaw. He's due. 0 for 1 tonight. And looks at a strike. He has dipped below the 300 mark at 299. But at Fenway he's hitting .336. Two to 1 Colorado here in the 4th inning. And he won't get him to bite after that one. Talking about Red Sox hit streaks now. Dom DiMaggio number 1 all time at 34 in a row. Then Nomar. Up and up and up goes Jackie Bradley. Now 29 consecutive games. Line shot, base hit into left. Ramirez is going to be waved in. Parra firing home and will not get him. And the Sox have tied it. He has a good arm out there, but could not get him. And Shaw drives in his 30th run.
We talked about aggressive base running, and that was very aggressive right there by Brian Butterfield. That ball hit very hard by Travis Shaw, and you mentioned Parra, very good out there defensively. He's got that ball before Henley touches third base, but the throw's going to be just a little bit up the first base line, and that allows Ramirez to score. Now, with nobody out, they probably would not have sent Ramirez, but with one out, they take the chance, and it pays off.
So now Vasquez being announced. He hits for Hannigan and obviously will stand a game to catch the rest of the way. Hannigan was 1 for 1 with a base hit before leaving, and we're waiting for word as to why Ryan was taken out of the ball game. Meanwhile, 1 out, 2 on. The Red Sox have tied it 2-2. And it's in tight for ball 1 on Vasquez, who's hitting .226.
Butterfield trying to get his attention. He wants to put on a sign. And Vasquez was not looking at him, so any sign that he might put on now might be just a decoy because he had to get the attention. You got to look down at that third base coach on every pitch.
Jackie Bradley at third, Travis Shaw at first base. Swung on and fouled, and the bat goes flying right to the feet of Arenado at third base.
Yeah, they wanted to put on a play, and they did. And, you know, that's why Butterfield had to whistle on him, get him out of the box. Then he puts on the hit and run play. There's the attempted swing, attempted contact by Vasquez. He does make contact, but keeps it foul. Shaw was off at first base, so they do play hit and run. And this is a guy they'll do it with.
Yeah, in fact, both of the Red Sox catchers.
Yep.
Good contact men. A ball, a strike on Vasquez. The go-ahead run at third base for the Red Sox. The offense waking up here. Just taking a little bit longer tonight.
Yeah, I think Vasquez will get talked to also probably between innings or maybe after the game, you know, about, hey man, you got to give me a look on every single pitch, because we can't be giving away signs like that.
Usually after the game that happens?
Yeah, sometimes during the game.
1-1. Got a piece.
But just a reminder to the young players, sometimes, you know, you get in that position, you get a man at third base, and you're in that position and you say, you know, I want to drive him in, I'm going to drive him in. And you kind of forget that there's also other things you can possibly do. So you got to check out that third base coach, make sure they don't put a play on. They did put it on even after whistling him out of the box.
A reminder, you have other responsibilities.
That's correct.
1-2. Just outside. Good take on a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. Well, this inning began with a blast. Bogarts hammering one totally out of Fenway as he just killed a curveball. The Sox have added another run and a pair of hits, looking for more now. The 2-2, and that breaking ball is inside.
Now, do you send Shaw at first base on this? One thing you don't want to have is a double play to end the inning. A possibility they'll run Travis Shaw on the 3-2 count. Now, if there's a strikeout, Shaw has to be very careful not to be tagged out before Bradley gets to home plate.
The 3-2 coming. There's a shot, but foul. Up into the Coca-Cola section. He got around on that baby.
You understand what I'm saying is, you know, if Shaw's going to second base and that throw goes through, he can't get thrown out. He's going to get caught in a rundown to give Bradley a chance to score if there is no contact by Vasquez.
Bradley at third, Shaw at first base, and the 3-2 coming to Vasquez. Ground ball. He had a man in motion, first to second, throw coming to the plate, the tag, and he is going to be out at home. And Shaw safely into second base, and Vasquez becomes the runner at first.
That's a very heads-up play by Adames, the shortstop, because You know, I'm not sure he would have been able to get a double play with the runner off at first base. So what does he do? He comes home instead of going for 2, and they get Bradley at home. Nobody did anything wrong on this. Bradley's supposed to go. The problem is the shortstop Adames made a terrific play by coming home and getting the potential leading run.
So there are 2 down. That'll bring up Blake Swihart, who struck out his first time up. 1 for 10 on the homestand. He fouled one off his right shin, and he was in some pain before he struck out. He'll look at a strike. Sox have tied it. They do have the go-ahead run now at second base in Shaw. Red Sox are driving up the pitch count of Chad Bettis in this inning, really for the first time. There's a high fly, well hit. Blackman back on the track, can't get it. That's going to bring in Travis Shaw. It's going to bring in Vasquez. Swihart all the way to third, and the Red Sox lead it 4-2 on the triple.
Well, all this started on the home run by Bogaerts, a follow-up walk to Ortiz. There's a pitch on the inside part of the plate. Remember last time up was limping back to the dugout with Swihart as he took one off the shin. No problem this time. A great effort by Blackman. He really does have good speed out there in center field, but that ball hit too well over his head. 2 more runs come across. Big 2-out base hit.
That's happened to him twice back-to-back nights. Last night it struck his glove. This one he didn't touch. Swihart with a big hit, and the Red Sox are in front by 2. A 4-run 4th inning for the Red Sox, and maybe more. Here comes Mookie Betts. He's 0 for 2 and dribbles a foul. He's flied to center and flied to right. Officially, they're telling us that Hannigan came out because of illness.
Okay,
So
not feeling well.
Yep. The 0-1. Flied again toward that triangle. Blackman this time just shy of it will make the play to retire the side. Well, it started with the bomb by Bogaerts, his 5th home run, and the Red Sox would add 3 more and now have the lead.
Marty Martinez, the CEO of Mass Mentoring. Marty, I understand that you guys had quite a successful event here this morning for your Champions of Mentoring breakfast. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, we had an amazing event. We had over 300 partners with us, corporate partners, elected officials, but mentors and mentees as well. And we raised over $200,000 to raise awareness for mentoring and try to get more adults to step up and work with young people in the city.
Well, now you're here with over 1,000 mentors and mentees. What does an event like this do for mentoring?
It really raises awareness, and it tells people that anyone can do it. it, get involved and support young people. When you see mentors on TV at a game, spending time with a young person, it really inspires people to get involved themselves.
Well, what can someone do to get more involved?
You can get involved. You can go to massmentors.org and learn more about programs. But actually, anytime you're spending time with young people, just pay a little bit more attention and build a connection to them.
All right, well, thanks for joining us. OB, Jerry, we'll pass it back to you guys.
Karen, Marty, thank you very much. And a shot by Bogaerts gets the offense started, and Swihart with a shot out to center field of his own for a triple. As the Red Sox explode for 4, Blackman looking to bunt, but he flicks it foul.
And the second time tonight he's tried to bunt. He tried to bunt back in the first inning, and it was on a fastball, first pitch of the game. This time he gets the first pitch. It's a knuckleball and fouls it off.
So Christian Vasquez takes over behind the plate for Hannigan, who took ill. Red Sox ahead 4-2 here into the 5th inning. And the 0-2 from Stephen Wright. Blackman, a left-hand hitter out of Georgia Tech. He was a pitcher in college and was drafted twice as a pitcher, including by the Red Sox in 2005. But he loves to hit, so he didn't sign and eventually became a full-time outfielder. A chopper backing up Shaw. Long throw and got him. Fans don't miss NESN Live tomorrow night at 5. We get you ready for Wade Boggs' number retirement ceremony here at Fenway. NESN Live presented by Cross Insurance.
Dave, tomorrow night's going to be a great night. Obviously, the retirement of number 26, Wade Boggs, and we'll have him up here in the booth for an interview. I'm sure it's going to be a very emotional night for him. We're also going to have another special guest that's going to join us. You talk to the fans about getting to the ballpark early. Make sure you turn on NESN early tomorrow, because Kyle Yastrzemski is going to join us in the very first inning.
Oh.
And that is very rare, because generally Yaz shows up for an appearance and is quickly gone from the ballpark. So,
but not tomorrow.
Not tomorrow. He's supposed to join us in the first.
LeMahieu with a line drive base hit into right field. That comes with 1 man out. That's going to be a thrill and a half for a couple of us in this booth.
Yep. Actually, I couldn't believe it when he said yes. I was stunned, because, you know, he doesn't do very much. I mean, he just likes to golf, fish, and watch baseball, and he doesn't spend a lot of time here at the ballpark, but he was going to spend an extra half inning with us, so we thank him for that.
Thrilled for that. We saw him in spring training, and he looks fantastic. Here's Arenado hammering that one foul. He's gone 0 for 2 in this one. Arenado a couple of years ago had a 28-game hitting streak. Best in the majors that year. Jackie Bradley Jr. has topped that tonight with a base hit. He's made it 29 straight. Got underneath that one and he popped it up. Swihart coming in. You know, it's not like Swihart's been tested on many plays, but he's made every play and looks so comfortable out there.
No, his comfort level is very good, I think. You know, he's kind of gliding after the ball. He looks comfortable in the plays that he's had to make. He's working every day with the coaches on that left field wall, trying to get all the different angles played. But he does. I mean, he looks natural out there. They'll be challenging plays. There's no question about that.
They did have one down the line where he went up against the side wall where it rises up in the corner a couple of days ago. But again, he made that play look pretty routine. Gonzalez 2 for 2, and he has scored both of their runs tonight. Two down and a man at first for Colorado. Red Sox in the lead 4-2. And back to hitting home runs tonight after not hitting one last night. After homering in 22 consecutive games. Here's the 0-1 from right and down low and batted away. It'll roll behind him. LeMahieu into second base. Is that play from the other day?
It's always tough going into that corner because you just don't know how much room you got. You see how little foul territory there is, and Zweihat did a good job putting out his hand to feel where the wall is and able to make the catch.
That, by the way, a wild pitch, the third of the game, along with 4 pass balls. A little trickler here to Pedroia, and that should do it. Quick toss gets him. One man is left. Right on top. It is 4-2 Boston here in the middle of the 5th. Red Sox batting here in the 5th inning with a 4-2 lead over Colorado, looking to take the first 2 games of this series. And the Red Sox also looking to go to 12 games over 500 for the first time on the year. Pedroia is 0 for 2. And that's going to be a fair ball down the line. Catches a piece of the short fence. Rolls to the side warning track. And Pedroia into second base. Hitless no longer. That's a double. He's 1 for 3.
Now, Dustin, fortunate that ball didn't hit the wall and then bounce out toward the shortstop. It would have been just a single, but it just barely gets by, as you can see here, over the third base bag and just missed that wall. It did deflect it, but it didn't stop it or kick it out toward the shortstop. And once it gets to the outfield, 2-base hit for Pedroia.
That means Xander Bogaerts will bat with a runner in scoring position.
This is interesting.
And here comes Pedroia out of the ball game, and Hernandez is coming on for him. Marco Hernandez. So this is the second starter that the Red Sox have had leave the ball game already. Wonder what this is all about. It's been an unusually warm evening, of course. Temperature at 88 degrees when we started. We know Hannigan had to work incredibly hard back there catching the knuckleballer Stephen Wright. But Pedroia now out of the game. So Hernandez on for him. We'll get you an update as soon as we can. That's highly unusual. Bogaerts with a walk and a long home run, totally out of the ballpark.
Yeah, what Bogaerts is thinking right now is he's going to try to move the ball to the right side. There's nobody out, but that all depends on the pitch that he gets.
Do you have a guess on Pedroia?
No idea.
Me either. Xander leading the American League with 66 hits. Here's number 66 with authority.
Curveball down and in and way out.
2-1.
And knowing his ability to go to the opposite field and trying to pitch him inside, so he can't. But that's what he's at least going to try to do here, unless he gets a pitch that he can pull. And pull with authority like he did last time.
Xander had 2 hits last night, 2 for 4, and he was robbed of a third by Arenado on a great play at third base. That would have been his 9th 3-hit game already here in 2016. Hernandez leading at second base. Nobody out. Red Sox ahead 4-2 and a strike.
I think that's a pitch that Bogaerts would like to have back right there, because that was a pitch he could operate with going the other way. Now with 2 strikes, all bets are off. You just try to make contact and hope something good happens. There's a fastball right down the middle. He knew it.
Looking to pick up his second RBI of the ball game, and he takes outside. I think the encouraging thing about when Petey came out of the game, he wasn't limping, wasn't favoring anything. So maybe it's the conditions. Maybe he wasn't feeling well before the game. But we'll get you an update as soon as we can. Three and 2 on Xander. David Ortiz on deck. And the 3-2. And that's in there for strike 3. So Xander strikes out looking. And that is out number 1.
That's pretty nasty fastball outside part of the plate, and Bogaerts do it. No argument. He's going to toss the bat, but that's not in because of the umpire. That's a little bit in disgust with himself for not swinging at that pitch and at least trying to foul it off.
And now Ortiz with a base open is not going to get anything to swing at. They're going to put him on. He'll be intentionally passed. He took a walk in the 4th inning, but this one intentional, and Hanley Ramirez will be next.
Ortiz, this will be his 6th intentional walk of the season.
And there's ball 3, number 1 in the American League with 32 extra base hits. He is 3rd in on-base percentage. Jackie Bradley's number 2. Number 1 in slugging percentage. Jackie Bradley is number 2. And there's ball 4. The last week to enter your son or daughter's baseball or softball team to be a live studio audience for NESN Clubhouse this season. Visit NESNClubhouse.com and click on studio audience to enter your team today. So the Red Sox will have runners at first and second with 1 down. Chad Bettis' pitching line is brought to you by your Eastern Lexus dealers. Last couple of innings have been a whole lot different from the first 3 for him. That pitch count up to 89. Their bullpen is starting to move around. Hanley is 0 for 2. They're going to get Justin Miller going. We saw him last night. Another impressive beard for a Colorado Rocky. Inside ball 1 on Hanley.
I just have a feeling Hanley's going to do something big here. He's seen him now a couple of times in this game. He's yet to have a hit off him in his career. He's 0 for 4 in his career off him, but one of those feelings.
You've been getting those gut feelings lately. As that one dips down low to make it 2-0.
Now it's a good count for Hanley. 2 balls, no strikes. He can look for a ball middle in, something he can pull out of the ballpark.
You had one the other day right before Mookie Betts hit a grand slam. Now 2 men on now for Ramirez. He did have a 16-game Fenway Park hitting streak end yesterday. No play on at second. Good count for Hanley Ramirez. 2-0. 2 on, 1 out. He's taking, and that's downstairs for ball 3.
And you know, even though Jackie Bradley is on deck, I would give Hanley the green light on the 3-0 count. Now I don't know if they will. I don't even know if he looked at Butterfield.
He really doesn't have to look at Butterfield. He can reach out and touch him. He's so close.
Yeah.
As he comes way down that line. 2 steps back, he can buy a ticket. Here's the 3-0. Oh, he did green light and right through it.
Yeah, he did get a green light, but he didn't get a pitch that he wanted. He got a cut fastball. And, you know, when you give a guy a green light on a 3-0 count, it's a specific area that they're looking in. And that time, Hanley got fooled on the cut fastball.
Hernandez at second, running for Pedroia. David Ortiz after the intentional walk on at first. And a 3-1 pitch for Hanley Ramirez. 3-2.
Yeah, not giving in with the fastball. Back-to-back breaking balls that time to run the count to 3 balls and 2 strikes. Keeping the ball away from Ramirez, and Hanley a little over anxious trying to pull that ball for a home run.
Now going back to April 21st, he's hitting .336 with an OPS of .876. 3-2 is inside, and that is ball 4, and that's going to load up the bases for Jackie Bradley. And for every Red Sox hit this month, Echo Store Technologies donates $50 to the Cloud Fund. It's the charitable donation foundation of the Dropkick Murphys. Echo Store Technologies, your data center solutions provider. And Steve Foster, their pitching coach, to head on out to the hill to consult with Bettis and Walters with a man at every base. Jackie Bradley has already extended the hitting streak to 29 consecutive games and starting to close in big time on Dom DiMaggio's all-time club record, 34 in a row in 1949. And there's no place to put him. His batting average now up to .348. And the pitch goes after the first one, a bounding ball. Reynolds will reach to tag and hasn't gotten him yet, but now they're going to say he's out of the base path, so Hanley is out as a run comes in to score. So Hanley Ramirez is retired and Jackie becomes the runner at first base, and David Ortiz down to third.
Very strange play here. Now the base is loaded, a run's gonna score. They get the out on Hanley as they say that he went out of the baseline. You can see the umpire give him that out of the baseline sign. And let's take another look. Here comes the attempted tag by Reynolds. Hanley just kind of jumping out of the way. And then didn't know what to do. He was just kind of standing there.
Did he look like he was out of the baseline to you?
No, he looked like he just jumped out of the way of the tag. Let's take another look. First the ball, now the tag. I mean, to me, that's well within range.
I would agree. In any event, 2 down to run in, 5-2 the Red Sox, and here's Travis Shaw. We'll take another look at that play.
I mean, first is the baseball he's going to get out of the way of. Then it's the tag he's going to get out of the way of. But you can see clearly there, trying to avoid the tag. I mean, he did not go out of the baseline. He did not.
But that was the call.
Yeah.
So here comes the 1-1 to Shaw. David Ortiz advancing to third base on that play as Bradley became the runner at first base and picked up an RBI. His 34th. Red Sox expanding the lead 5-2. Gunning for their 4th straight win. Shaw with an RBI single, hit a bullet in the 4th inning. He's 1 for 2. There's another one to dead center field. Blackmon back, turning around. It's going to be off the very bottom of the wall. Ortiz is in. Here comes Bradley. He scores. 2 more runs in, and the Red Sox are breaking this baby open, and now lead it 7-2.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe that was a changeup right there that Shaw did a great job staying back on, and he provides all his own power. Yes, it was a changeup. It stayed up above the knees, and Shaw did a great job staying back on that pitch and provides plenty of power to straightaway center field.
This one's sticking right there underneath that wall and then rolling back to Blackmon. Big night brewing here for Travis. He's now driven in 3. He torched that one. You just never know when this offense is going to blow it up.
Very quiet in the first 3 innings. All of a sudden, 7 runs on the board.
Leading 7-2. Colorado goes to the pen, and we'll have more in just a moment. And brought to you by Kia as you look at Bettis, and he gets knocked out. And that's going to bring up Justin Miller, who pitched last night, and a scoreless inning. This relentless Red Sox offense has done it again with 4 runs in the 4th inning. So far 3 here in the 5th inning.
It's a great feeling to be in that dugout, know that your offense can explode at any time, and that's exactly what's happened over the last 2 innings.
Travis Shaw with a 2-run double to the base of the center field padded wall, and that'll bring up Vasquez with 2 down as he looks at a strike. We did get word on why Dustin Pedroia came out of the game. It was precautionary tightness in his right hamstring.
Well, best to get him out of there before that thing gets worse, because we know how bad hamstrings can be.
It just ripped a double, and Hernandez came on to run for him and eventually came in to score 1 of the 3 runs in this inning. And the Sox looking for more. Vasquez has been up 1 time. Hit into a 6-2 fielder's choice. Eventually he came in to score a run. That was last inning. That inning started with the Bogaerts home run out of Fenway. Into right field, Cameron Gonzalez will make the play, and the side is retired, but the Red Sox will add 3, and now on top 7-2. Jason Varitek bobblehead night at Fenway. The first 15,000 fans in attendance receive a Jason Varitek bobblehead. That's courtesy of Granite City Electric. For tickets and more information, visit redsox.com/promos or call 877 Sox 9. Stephen Wright's pitching line is brought to you by Ace Ticket. 5 innings so far with 6 Ks, up to 86 pitches. This is usually when he is really settling in, but that knuckleball has been a butterfly tonight, dancing all over the place. First one high for a ball on Reynolds, who has singled and grounded to second. It's just such an unpredictable pitch.
It really is. From pitch to pitch, you don't know what to expect.
That knocks him down. It was 71 miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean, you could see the late movement on that, breaking back inside on Reynolds, and Wright doesn't know, Vasquez doesn't know, and the hitter doesn't know exactly which way that's going to break.
In there for a strike as it bounces away from Vasquez. Marco Hernandez staying in for Pedroia at second base. Precautionary is mentioned for Dustin Pedroia because of a tender hamstring. And that's a called strike. It was a long, short night for Ryan Hannigan, who took ill and battled that knuckleball as a swing and a foul tip, and not held by Vasquez. So now it's Christian's turn back there.
Well, you feel bad for Hannigan because, I mean, he got some of the nastiest knuckleballs that we've seen. And then on top of it, he's sick.
2-2 coming. And foul tipped into the mitt. And that time it is held for the strikeout.
We talked about, you know, dancing all over the place. And I mean, this was the kind of night that Hannigan had behind the plate. I mean, it was some of these pitches are just impossible to catch. I mean, look at that one, darting in, going down. That one just breaking, a mile.
Heck, you're sick for him watching it.
Yeah, exactly right. That would make me sick trying to catch that.
Here's Parra as he takes ball one. He's had a long night with a knuckleball. He's already struck out twice. Red Sox with a 7-2 lead. And the 1-0. One final from earlier today. The Mets knocked off Washington 2-0. As this one is floated toward left center field. An easy play for Jackie Bradley. Sox fans looking for the best seats to the biggest games. Check out the official Red Sox ticket resale marketplace at redsoxreplay.com. Best place for season ticket holders to sell their tickets when they can't make it to the game. Mets have a big problem with one of their aces, Matt Harvey, really struggling. They've been talking about maybe taking him out of the rotation. They've decided to leave him in, but he just keeps getting shelled, and he doesn't know what's wrong. But he's not the pitcher he was just, coming back from Tommy John a year ago. Rayburn here, he has singled and struck out, 1 for 2, and he lines a base hit, so he's 2 for 3.
It's a good approach by Rayburn right there, as he was very patient, waiting a long time, almost like the catcher waiting to try to catch the knuckleball. That's exactly what Rayburn did. He waited a long time. He didn't get the knuckleball, though. He got the fastball that time and lines it to the opposite field for the base hit.
Dustin Pedroia came out of the game, so he's back in the clubhouse right now, maybe getting a call from Matt Harvey to get fixed. If Petey can take a look at some video.
I think Dustin's more concerned about his hamstring right now than helping Harvey.
I think you're right. Did a great job with helping out Mr. Price, as that one is down and in for a ball on Walters, who has walked and also tapped to second. Price coming off 7 strong innings, picked up another win.
And Harvey with a 6.08 ERA. That's That's just not him and anywhere close to being him.
Yeah, something's up. Popped up, and Bogart's on the back pedal. He waves everybody off and makes the play to retire the side. One man left, and the Sox in front 7-2 in the 6th. Nesson Clubhouse, we have a special throwback edition looking at the evolution of the baseball jersey at the Hall of Fame. Plus, Rick Porcello tells us what board games he loved to play as a kid. It's all Sunday morning at 11:30 on Nesson Clubhouse, presented by Delta Dental of Massachusetts. Last half of the 6th inning, and Swihart will lead things off. He's contributed tonight with a big 2-run triple in the 4th inning to center field, and it's in there for a strike. They'll be followed by Betts, and then Hernandez will be hitting for the first time in Pedroia's spot. Red Sox knocking the starter Bettis out after 4 2/3, 7 runs, 7 hits. Although he pitched well early, the Red Sox would really figure him out in a big way in the 4th inning and again in the 5th. A lot of triples for this Red Sox team. It's an indication of what we were talking about earlier. It's an athletic base running team. They're guys who can really run.
Yeah, they do, and you know, they're number 1 in doubles in the American League. They're number 1 in triples, runs scored, batting average, everything going right now. They'd like to have one more triple on that number. That was David Ortiz a couple of days ago for the cycle.
Yes, no question. Oh, so close. Although David was funny about it later. 2-1 is wide when he said, well, it would have been very tough to get to third with a flat tire. I don't think he was coveting the thought of third base.
But he wanted it bad. He did. And if he had the right bounce out there, he would have got it.
3-1 on Swihart. And he takes a strike. He was darting toward first base. He thought he had a walk there, and well, he really did. That was low.
Yeah, that's one that, you know, sometimes you ask the umpire, and the umpire may even tell you that he missed it. This ball was way low.
(3-2). Line shot, but caught. Arenado there. Let's go to Guerin.
Thanks, Obi. Well, Mookie Betts and Jim Rice have a very close relationship, and I was talking to Betts before the game, and he said that Rice has become like a baseball dad to him. Betts said that Rice was especially helpful when he transitioned to the outfield, and he said he knows so much about hitting that sometimes he'll send him a text message after a game saying that he's done something really well or making a suggestion. Guys, Betts said that he is so great to have him, and he's so thankful, and he's really been a blessing.
Well, you can really see that, Garen, and see the relationship that number 14 has with a lot of these Red Sox players. We saw Hanley Ramirez pulling on his jersey when they introduced Jim for the pregame ceremonies for the '86 team. He wouldn't let him get on the diamond.
Yeah, you know, when you look at Mookie Betts, you know, he's a great listener, and great listeners, you know, are better than great talkers. You know, they absorb a lot, and that's what Betts does. I mean, he lets other people, you know, he'll ask questions. And he takes it all in and takes what's best for him.
0-1 just off the corner.
And let's face it, I mean, when you're surrounded, you know, with great players, you got to pick their brain. I mean, you're crazy not to. Not enough credit goes to Chili Davis. Chili Davis has done a marvelous job with this team as the Red Sox hitting coach.
1-1 on the way and hammered foul. Mookie is hitless in this one. He is 0 for 3. We talked about this earlier this season where Chili told David Ortiz, he asked him before the winter got underway, he said, don't pick up a bat. You know, wait until you get to spring training. You're going to be fresher mentally, physically. Eventually you're going to have a slump. Have your slump in spring training.
Yeah. You know, I would love to have a sit down interview with Chili. He's so interesting. I talk with him quite a bit. You know, away from the ballpark when we're checking into hotels or whatever we're doing, and he's
a lunging liner and caught by LeMahieu, and there are 2 down.
He's such an intelligent, you know, coach. I'd love to have a sit-down interview with him, you know, and just pick his brain, just like a guy like Mookie Betts does, and it would be, I think it would be fascinating for Red Sox fans, but. He's tough to nail down because, you know, he's busy all the time. He comes to the ballpark. He's in that cage right away.
All the time.
And, you know, then you go out for batting practice. He's behind the cage there. So maybe someday Chili and I can get here about 11 o'clock in the morning and do something.
I know you'll be here.
Pretty good chance. Yeah. I'm getting real bad, Dave.
You are getting worse and worse.
Yeah, so the older I get, the worse I am. I mean, I'm here now at like 12:30. It's ridiculous.
At lunchtime here at the ballpark. Here's Hernandez, and I think also due credit to Victor Rodriguez, the assistant hitting coach.
Yes.
Who's really a calming influence for a lot of these guys.
Yep.
We've seen a lot of big smiles around the Red Sox inside the dugout and the clubhouse, and it's no small thing. We didn't see many of those the last 2 years. Winning has a lot to do with that. Hernandez lines one foul. Local Dunkin' Donuts franchises are proud to give back to the communities in which they live and work. Thousands of kids have had the chance to catch a free Sox game thanks to Dunkin' Donuts. Tonight we welcome the Plowshares Child Care Program at the Franklin School to historic Fenway. Dunkin' Donuts committed to the community. Red Sox in the lead 7-2 over Colorado. 6th inning. A called strike at 85. Red Sox getting some runs for Stephen Wright. They didn't do that in his last start when he went all the way against Kansas City and lost 3-2. But with a victory tonight, Wright would improve to 4-4. Ways to go yet. Up the middle, and that'll get through for a base hit. Hernandez is on. That's a 2-out single.
That's always nice for a guy that doesn't get a lot of playing time. He comes in for Pedroia. Pedroia precautionary measures with his hamstring and gets the breaking ball right here. As you can see, ground ball up the middle for the base hit. So you feel like you're part of the action.
And now the American League's #1 hitter, Xander Bogaerts, a walk, a home run, a strikeout tonight. A home run, a no-doubter, up and over the monster seats and hitting .351.
I would run Hernandez in this situation as we look at the home run back in the 4th inning, a breaking ball he takes out of the ballpark. I try to get Hernandez in a scoring position with a steal. Let Bogaerts drive him in. If he's thrown out, Bogaerts hits in front of Ortiz next inning.
The 0-1 pitch. He bloops a foul out of play.
Two strikes here really give him a big hole to Bogaerts on the right side. First baseman Reynolds holding the run and run, and LeMahieu pulled over toward the back. So there's a huge hole between first and second with 2 strikes.
Xander has extended his hitting streak to 18 in a row with that home run. Here's the 0-2 pitch. And fouls that one back. Ortiz hoping to bat in this inning. There are 2 down. Red Sox head 7-2. Bogaerts, like Dustin Pedroia, has really settled in nicely against the National League. He's hitting about .340 against the National League in his last 25 games. He's hitting .340 against everybody. Really putting together an outstanding season. Coming off a 1. Two down. Hernandez the runner at first base. And Miller's 0-2 again. Swing and a miss, and down he goes for strike 3. That's all for the Red Sox. 1 man left. Still 7-2 Boston. Is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. Red Sox head 7-2 as we go to the 7th inning. Jerry Remy and Dave O'Brien along with you. Christian Adames is 0 for 2. He has grounded to second and lined to center field. That'll be the leadoff man, Blackmon, who has one of the more aggressive looking beards in all of Major League Baseball. The man on deck. 1-1. And across for a strike. Last couple of innings, it looks like that knuckleball is a little easier to handle.
Yeah, it does. It looks like it's more under control than it was early in the game. It was at times totally out of control.
1-2 is high and wide. So maybe Vasquez will catch a break that Ryan Hannigan did not get in the first several innings. The 2-2 coming. And fouled at home plate. Well, nobody warming up yet in the Red Sox bullpen. John Farrell will go a little bit longer with Wright than most starters. He is up and over 100.
Yeah, it looks like he'll try to get 7 out of him in this game tonight.
2-2. Wright scurries to get it, fires, and he got him at first base. What a recovery that was.
Wow.
Slowed it down, got to it, made the play.
Pretty impressive reactions here as it's the high bounce, and he knocks it straight up in the air, but he's going to chase it down behind the mound and still able to make that throw to first base. No knuckleball to first base, just a fastball.
That's a terrific play.
That really is.
Off balance throw.
It's always tough because, you know, the pitches, they have to run up and down that mound. That time he's got to go down the mound to go field the baseball, get on the grass, throw a strike to first base.
Blackman taking inside. He's gone 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. He runs very well, hitting .295. Red Sox ahead 7-2. And blue foul back out of play. Jason Mott, who has just been activated off the DL. And another man with a serious looking beard. But they fit right in the Rockies.
Yep.
The 1-1. Popped up, foul. Shaw giving chase, and oh, he made the play in the webbing. Back-to-back terrific defensive plays by the Red Sox.
Well, you know, Travis Shaw, that ball was not hit very high at all. So he had to really hustle to get over near that wall to make the catch. So he's got to concentrate on the baseball, concentrate how far he is from the wall. He feels himself on the warning track, but still had about 3 or 4 steps. So pretty good play.
2 down in the 7th. LeMahieu next. 1 for 3 with a base hit for the tall second baseman. And taking a strike. Wright looking for a 1-2-3 7th inning. To center field, and he's going to get it. Jackie Bradley will put it away. They go in order. Middle of the 7th, 7-2 Sox. TC and Tim Wakefield. We'll break it all down. You'll also hear from Stephen Wright and John Farrell. Whatever, whenever, wherever. Who but W.B. Mason. Red Sox coming to bat. Wright in control. Up to 110 pitches. So you would bet that John Farrell would be going to the bullpen. We'll see. Right now he doesn't have anybody warming up. He did have Tommy Lane starting to throw, and he made one pitch before sitting down. So he is getting some congrats over there. I'm not sure exactly what that means yet. In the meantime, Mott comes out of the bullpen. Jason Mott, who's been doing a lot of winning with St. Louis, and then last year was a key man for the Cubs, appearing in 57 games. He's been on a rehab stint. Missed a season 2 years ago because of Tommy John, and it's hammered foul by David Ortiz. David in this one with 2 walks, one of them intentional. He's also popped up, so officially 0 for 1. Red Sox 7, Colorado 2. And the 0-2 is way too high. Ramirez on deck. And then Jackie Bradley, who has run the hitting streak to 29 straight. Big cut and a foul tip into the mitt. And down goes David.
A pretty lively fastball that time, and 97 miles an hour above the belt of David Ortiz. So Mott with very good velocity on this last pitch.
Stay tuned for Red Sox Final, presented by Plainridge Park Casino. TC and Tim Wakefield break it down and preview Clay Buchholz's start tomorrow against Colorado. Hanley in this one is 0 for 2 with a walk. He did score a run after reaching in the 4th inning. And Tommy Lane is up and throwing again. Those new monitors, those are brand new this year, so John Farrell can watch his own bullpen and the opposing bullpen. On the infield, Arenado with that barehanded gun. Man, can he pick it at third base. Time for a game break, brought to you by Jordan's, the furniture store. The Red Sox. Here's TC. ITC, thank you very much. So they have a ways to go in that one here at Fenway. The Red Sox with a 7-2 lead. But the Red Sox hoping by the end of the night to have a 2-game lead over Baltimore as Jackie takes a strike. Red Sox with 4 runs in the 4th inning, 3 runs in the 5th inning. Jackie, along with a base hit, has grounded out to the pitcher and hit into a fielder's choice that scored a run in the 5th inning, so he picked up an RBI. High fly to left. Parra back to the track. He's going to play it off the wall. That catches a lot of green, and it's another extra base hit. Jackie Bradley with a double to go with his single.
Well, Dave, we mentioned many times Jackie has figured out that the left field wall here at Fenway Park may be his best friend. Gets the ball down and away. Instead of trying to pull it, he goes with it, finds that left field wall on a high fly ball. So an easy double there for Bradley with 2 outs, gets in scoring position. That ball clearly above the scoreboard area.
That's the 9th hit of the game, so the Red Sox bearing down once again on double figures in hits. That's been routine for this offense, which has just been amazing. Shaw, big part of it tonight with an RBI single and a 2-run double. And he had been scuffling. He was 2 for 16 before the hit that he got in the 4th inning. 2-0. You've talked about this on the homestand, how the left-hand hitters for the Red Sox really take to that wall, and the idea of being off-field hitters, you have to buy into that.
Yeah, and the Red Sox as a team have bought into that, right-handers and left-handers.
He's looking for his 4th RBI in the game, and that's a strike. Red Sox in the lead 7-2. And Mookie and Torrey are at it again. Another long conversation, as Torrey told us before the game down in the coach's office. Mookie asks probably more questions than any player. He's such a curious guy, but they're questions about things like baseball etiquette, you know, like the code. You're violating the code if you swing at a 3-0 pitch in a 4-run game, if you're up by 4, stuff like that. Red Sox coaching staff incredibly fond of him because of his high baseball IQ. He's a great kid, but he asks a lot of questions. He looks for a lot of answers.
They got a running conversation going just about every inning, don't they?
Just about. Cut on and missed. Travis not happy with himself in that at bat. He strikes out, and that retires the side. We go to the 8th. They're going to keep on talking. 7-2. Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. By buyatoyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. By the Massachusetts Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, use your head, buckle up. And by Digital Federal Credit Union, see what DCU can save you. Well, Mr. Wright is back out there. We'll see how long he's out there. There is a couple of hitters coming up who could do some damage.
Yeah, the first strikeout of the night coming on a fastball that time, and then the rest on knuckleballs. And Hannigan really had to battle back there tonight as he's chasing knuckleballs all over the place. Able to catch that one. That one stays up in the zone, handles that. Back to the knuckleball again, that time with Vasquez behind the plate. So, as you mentioned, Dave, it seems like the knuckler has quieted down in the second half of the game.
This will be pitch number 111 as Lane continues to work out in that bullpen. A left-hand hitter is up next. So you wonder if this is for one batter. Arenado has gone 0 for 3. He has struck out, line to short, and fly to left. And the 1-1. They get Chad Qualls going in their bullpen. We saw him pitch yesterday. Been around for a long time. Wright came in with an ERA of 2.52, and he has managed to lower that. to 237 with tonight's performance. Popped up. That'll twist and twist. And Travis Shaw over for a look, but it's over the top of the dugout.
I found that very interesting. 2 strikes on Arenado, and they want to elevate a Stephen Wright fastball. You can see Vasquez put down the knuckleball, shaken off by Wright. He puts down the fastball, and he wants it upstairs. You don't see that very often from Stephen Wright. And gets the foul ball.
High heat.
Yep.
Now looking to put away Arenado on strikes for the second time. Went upstairs again. Gonzalez on deck. He has 2 hits in this one, but Colorado only has 6. Here's the 2-2. Time now for our poll question presented by People's United Bank. Jerry, let's see what topics people can vote on to hear you talk about on NESN Sports today. Jackie Bradley streak. Bogart's now at 18 in a row, and Wright solid again. Text us your answer to 536-536. Message and data rates may apply. Ground ball, Hernandez cannot get to that. That's going to get past him, and it'll be a base hit for Arenado.
And that's going to bring out John Farrell. He will go to the bullpen, go to Tommy Lane, the left-hander. And this will be a very nice ovation for Stephen Wright as he leaves this ball game.
He pitches into the 8th. He continues to be rock solid. In line for a 4-4 record for a victory. And a highly appreciative Fenway. He just keeps on rolling along and leaves with a 7-2 lead. We'll be back. Eighth inning and a base runner for Colorado. Red Sox with a 5-run lead, and Tommy Lane comes out of the pen with an ERA of 2.31. Stephen Wright stepping aside to a great big ovation. Well earned as he pitches into the 8th. Gonzalez stings that one. That one is headed for the wall, and that bangs into the green. Bradley will play that one. Throwing to second, the tag there, and he's going to be out. Cut him down. That is a Gold Glove play on the peg from Jackie Bradley. Arenado advancing to third on it, but Gonzalez just learned a lesson.
Did he ever? Perfectly played off the wall by Bradley. The strike to Bogarts. I think Bogarts may have got spiked on that, or something happened to his finger at second base, but Bradley picks up his 5th assist of the season.
Yeah, but Xander immediately started signaling as he looked at his hand for the bench and the trainer.
His thumb, it looks like his thumb is down where the slide was, and he might have jammed that thing, or we'll have to just wait and see. But you can see the right hand. See the right hand get hit? And he immediately looks at his thumb area and shakes his hand.
I see his teammates led by David Price cheering him on there, but he was in some pain. It's been a tough night for the Red Sox physically. Despite the 7-2 lead, Hannigan had to come out because of illness. Now they're working on that thumb.
Wonder if he lost a fingernail. It's quite possible.
Dustin Pedroia had to come out because of a tender hamstring. That was precautionary more than anything. Well, there's some blood there. The Rockies, while we've been watching this, did challenge the call at second base, but it was upheld as out.
Yeah, I don't think that hand ever got to the bag till after Bogaerts had tagged him.
So Xander getting some treatment. He's going to hang in there. I think you might be right about that nail.
Could be. It could be a fingernail that popped right off, and looks like he's just going to take a couple of throws to make sure that bandage is okay, and he'll be all right.
So the call upheld, out at second base. Gonzalez erased. Arenado advancing to third base.
You know, the impressive thing about Bradley on that play is the angle that he took to play the ball off the wall was the correct angle. He was the correct distance from the wall to play that ball on a bounce, and then makes the accurate throw to second base to pick up his 5th outfield assist of the season. There you see the ball slicing. Now he knows right there that ball's going to come back to him off the wall. One big hop, the release to second base. Bogaerts doing a great job.
On to the second baseman, and Hernandez will lob on to first base and almost got by Hanley Ramirez as the run comes in to score.
Yeah, you need a little better throw than that. That almost got away from him and away from Hanley. Hanley talking to him right now. Go, give me something. Put something on that throw.
Makes it 7-3.
Here's Hernandez going to his left, and he just kind of floats it to first base, and sometimes when you do that you lose control of the baseball instead of letting it fly. And Hanley was fooled by it. He had to stretch, keep contact with the bag, and then immediately went over to talk to Hernandez.
That brings up Parra, who has struck out twice and flied to center field. He'll take a strike. So the Sox lead now at 4. Let's go back to Bogaerts when he was shaken up, and Hanley goes, you know, we've got enough help. Literally kicking trainers back to the dugout. Hernandez in, up and over, and gets him. There's a lot more on that throw. That was great. He pointed out, like, was that good enough? That had some hair on it. by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide.
Great interchange, between Hernandez and Hanley. The first ground ball, he just kind of loafs it over to first base, and Hanley had to reach and tag the bag, and he goes right after Hernandez. Now the second one, Hernandez lets him have it, and Hanley says, yeah, that's more like it. That's the kind of throw that I want.
Hernandez is a quick study. That's the way he wanted it. So it is on to the last half of the 8th inning, 7-3 the Red Sox, and it'll be Vasquez to lead it off here. It'll be Chad Qualls, the 37-year-old right-hander, dealing a strike. He's been pitching in the big leagues since 2004 with the Houston Astros. He's also pitched for Arizona, Tampa Bay, San Diego, the Phillies, the Yankees, the Pirates, Miami, and the Astros again before coming to Colorado. Vasquez is 0 for 2 since replacing Ryan Hannigan, who left because of illness. He was in the ball game the first 3 or 4 innings. Hannigan was, and took ill at some point. Gently hit to short. Adames with the throw, and gets a good lunge there by Reynolds, and he held on to the bag to get him. So 1 man out. Tomorrow at 6. Don't miss Red Sox Game Day Live, presented by DCU. TC and Tim Wakefield preview Clay Buchholz start, and they'll have live coverage of the pregame ceremony honoring Wade Boggs. DCU Digital Federal Credit Union. What can DCU save you? Swihart has contributed with a big hit back in the 4th inning. That was a triple that drove in 2 runs. When the Red Sox got on the board for the first time, they would score 4 times, 3 more in the 5th inning to take control of this one. And that's drilled high and deep, headed out there to right center, and no one gets it. Takes a big bounce. He can really fly. He wants another one. Another 3-base hit, and standing this time. That is the place where triples go.
Now Swihart, his triple back in the 4th inning to me was one of the biggest hits in the ball game, and now he puts another one out to the 420. We've seen the back of Blackman's uniform quite a bit in the last couple of games as he's chased balls back to that center field wall. And you're right, you watch Blake Swihart run the bases. He runs them very well. Very good speed.
Well, he never did run like a catcher. He always ran like a left fielder.
Yeah, making that decision on his own.
And now Mookie Betts trying to pick him up. And by the way, the 10th Red Sox hit. Once again, they have struck for double figures in hits. That is a nightly occurrence. Mookie tonight is 0 for 4. Chopped and a base hit. That'll bring in a run. Swihart in. And that makes it 8-3.
Well, that's probably what Torey Lovullo was telling him. Next time you get up, hit a big high bounce over a drawn-in infield, and that's good baseball etiquette.
Sure.
And that's exactly what happens. And he picks up an RBI, his 35th of the season. Keeps a hitting streak going. Now it's 6 games, and the Red Sox pick up another run.
This, by the way, the 30th time the Red Sox have reached at least 10 hits. That's #1 in the majors. 6-game hitting streak for Mookie. His 35th RBI. Very impressive out of the leadoff spot. That's the most leadoff RBIs in baseball. And brings up Hernandez. He has a hit in his lone plate appearance as well, since replacing Dustin Pedroia, who left the game because of a precautionary deal with that tender hamstring. And on roll the Red Sox with this offense. 8 runs on 11 hits and counting. Base hit. He's 2 for 2. Mookie wants third, and he's going to take third base. They're on the corners.
That's going to feel nice for Hernandez. He doesn't play very much. Comes in today for Pedroia. 2 base hits. Couple of defensive plays. Ground ball up the middle. No problem for Betts to go to third base. You know, you sit back as a part-time player, you watch the starters just tear the cover off the baseball, then you get a chance to go in and do the same thing, and he's getting it done tonight.
It is also the case for the man being announced. That'll be Josh Rutledge. He's going to hit for Xander Bogaerts with that finger issue on the play at second base in the top of this inning. They got it taped up. We'll see if that lingers at all for the X-Man, but Rutledge stepping up there at 342. He appears to be fine. In there for a called strike on Rutledge, the man from Alabama. Once again, Jerry, it's one of those nights where the Red Sox are putting it all together with the offense.
Yep.
And with the pitching, the starting pitching, outstanding again by Stephen Wright. We've seen a slew of these games. You know, good defense, very solid D again.
Well, you know, there are times throughout the course of the season, if you're a good team, and the Red Sox are a good team, that you're going to have stretches like this. And it's so much fun to come to the ballpark and play games when you're playing baseball like this. I mean, you just feel like you're going to win every single game you go out there and play.
Hard ground ball, but foul. A sprawling Arenado, but it's off the line. And, you know, that point has to be emphasized, because that feeling of coming to the ballpark every day and feeling you're going to win, that's been missing for a while here.
2 years.
2 years is an eternity in Boston.
Yes.
You're talking about the Red Sox.
You're exactly right. And there's a totally different feeling, you know, as you walk into the clubhouse. I mean, it's like they can't wait to get on the field, take their batting practice, play their game, and try to pick up another win.
1-2 pitch, waved at and missed, and down goes Rutledge for the second out. Runners at first and third, and here comes David Ortiz. Should the Red Sox win the game, they would go to 12 games over the 500 mark. That would be the new high water mark in 2016. Big Papi tonight with a couple of walks. He's also struck out and popped up. So by his standards, kind of a pedestrian night to this point, as he takes outside ball 1. And the 1-0 pitch from the veteran right-hander will not be made as he steps off. If the Red Sox win this game, they will also improve to 18-9 at Fenway, and they will have more wins at home than any team in the major leagues by themselves. And that has been a big part of the narrative of this early part of the season, success at home.
You know, and it's amazing how it snowballs too, because you play good baseball at home, then you go on the road. And the Red Sox, as you look at their schedule in the last 2 months of August and September, they got a lot of road games. So you want to establish that same feeling playing on the road, because you're going to need it in the last couple of months of this season, because you've got so many road games. And so you want to, you know, be in a position where you feel so good about yourself. It doesn't matter where you go to play, you have that same feeling.
Well, it's a lot of looking ahead, but you're right. I mean, in August, the Red Sox are on the road a ton, and they're out west for a long road swing, and they do it again in September.
Yeah.
I mean, at the top of September, they go to Oakland, San Diego, and Toronto on one long trip, and then another one later on that month. Not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but as far as building up victories at this point in the season at home, you really have to do that. Runners on at first and third, 2 down. Here's the 3-1. Took a massive swing and came up empty.
Yeah, a little over anxious that time with Ortiz. He doesn't have a hit tonight. He wants one badly, and actually swung at a pitch that was out of the strike zone. That fastball down and away from Ortiz. Very seldom does he go out of the zone to chase a pitch.
3-2. He spoils that one. Hernandez, the runner at first, was heading into second as he heads on back. 2 down. Qualls with a payoff pitch. Line drive, base hit. Mookie Betts will score. That's down into the corner. Here comes Hernandez. Big Poppy into second base with a double. He adds to his RBI total now at 43. And the Red Sox hit double figures yet again in runs. Double number 605 for David Ortiz.
Well, wasn't a bat by Ortiz because everything was away for him. Then he tries to sneak a breaking ball by him inside, and that's not going to happen. Ortiz just hooking that ball down the right field line. He'd have been better off keeping the ball away from David, see if he was going to try to chase one, but decided to go breaking ball inside, and Ortiz was waiting for it.
Red Sox just keep on scoring, now leading at 10-3. Andy Ramirez does not have a hit tonight. He is 0 for 3 with a walk. And looks at a strike. Boy, those crooked numbers keep on coming. Just amazing. Red Sox scoring at least 10 runs in a game for the 7th time already. 4 runs in the 4th, 3 runs in the 5th, 3 more here in the 8th. High fly ball down the left field line. Parra into the corner with plenty of room and makes the catch to retire the side. The Red Sox get 3 more and now lead at 10-3 as we go to the 9th at Fenway. Red Sox out huge again. They knock another starter out very early. Bettis went 4 2/3. Wright 7+. Left to a nice ovation. In line for the victory. 3 RBIs for Shaw. The hitting streak and a beat goes on for Jackie Bradley. 2 more hits tonight. Sit safely in 29 in a row. So a number of changes here for the Red Sox. Hernandez is going to move on over to shortstop from second base. Rutledge goes in the game at second. And Tazawa becomes the new pitcher, looking to lock this one up as we go to the 9th inning. He makes his 20th appearance, a nifty ERA of 1.53. And gets Ryan Rayburn, who has 2 hits tonight. He's gone 2 for 3. Nice to see Stephen Wright get a lot of support this evening. He went into the 8th inning, allowing just 2 runs. He lowered his ERA, which was already at 2.52, which was the number 6 ERA in the American League. Flick foul by Rayburn. Walters on deck. With a win, the Red Sox would improve to 5-1 against the National League. And 29-17 overall. And that misses. Rayburn's done a good job. He's hitting over 300, 303 with 5 home runs. And Tazawa trying to strike him out. Here's the 1-2 home. And he gets him with the split.
Now, if you look at the last 2 pitches for Tazawa, the first one was going to be up and out of the strike zone. So you got the hitter thinking high. What does he do? He comes back and he throws a split finger fastball down and out of the strike zone. So changing the eye level of the hitter from the high fastball to the splitter down, almost in the dirt.
Well, tonight, after Red Sox coverage on NESN Sports Today, a complete recap of tonight's ceremonies honoring the '86 Red Sox. NESN Sports Today, presented by People's United Bank. See what know-how can do. Called strike here on Walters, the catcher, who has gone 0 for 2 with a walk. I mean, early in the game, Wright's knuckleball was moving so dramatically, and we saw pass balls and wild pitches. It looked like it had a chance to be a short night for him, just because it was going everywhere and it was so hard to command.
You know, it's interesting because Tim Wakefield, I believe, is in the studio tonight, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to ask him that question, if it's possible to make an in-game adjustment to kind of slow down that knuckleball a little bit, and because it seems like Stephen Wright did that tonight.
It did.
Seemed like 2 different guys.
And he's had other performances like the one at Yankee Stadium where he didn't have to change anything. He was just golden from the first knuckleball through the 9th inning. And really, Hannigan did not have a hard catch that night. Wholly different story tonight.
Very hard.
It was every which way, but eventually settled in and pitched another terrific game. And the Red Sox offense, ever present, has taken care of the rest. (0-2) bounced up there. Red Sox are hoping to get a little help from the Houston Astros tonight. They are hosting the Orioles. And the Red Sox bid to take a 2-game lead in the division. And I know it's really early to be talking about a division race and all of that, but we have not been able to talk about that at all for a couple of years. So forgive me. 1-2 flared foul.
Well, you're forgiven, Dave, because I would rather be talking now about the Red Sox trying to gain ground on Baltimore than talking about trying them to get to 500.
Darn right. Yeah.
You know what I'm
Darn right.
I mean, that's all we've been talking about for 2 years. Okay, if they get to 500, maybe they could take off from there. Well, I'd rather talk about this.
Yeah, because that conversation gets old real fast.
Yeah.
One out, bases empty, and a 1-2.
I mean, you're basically talking about getting to mediocre baseball.
Now Dave Dombrowski has to be very, very happy what he has been watching here in 2016, particularly when his team comes up to bat. 10 more runs tonight. And the 1-2 coming. Cut on and missed. Down he goes, and Vasquez will throw on to get him. Back-to-back strikeouts. So 2 down in the 9th inning, and tomorrow at 5:30, don't miss Red Sox first pitch, presented by Joseph Abboud, available at Men's Warehouse. TC and Tim Wakefield will look back at the most memorable moments from Wade Boggs' great career with the Red Sox. And his number about to be retired.
Pretty special day, or night I should say, tomorrow. Actually be all day and all night for Wade as he gets that number put up on the facade down there in right field.
Here's Christian Adames. He has gone 0 for 3. Maybe the last man to bat in this one, as the Red Sox lead it in the 9th inning by 7. Sox got 4 in the 4th, 3 in the 5th, and 3 in the 8th. 13 hits for Boston. Colorado with 8. That's downstairs to make it 2-0. This series finishes up tomorrow night, and then the Red Sox hit the road. They head for Toronto and Baltimore, and when they come back, it'll be June 3rd against the Blue Jays for a quick 3-game series, and the Red Sox go back on the road again. The 2-0. Line shot into center field that almost took Taz with it.
Yeah, watch out, Taz. I mean, that ball's a rocket. Maidanis up the middle. You just try to get that glove up as quick as possible. Protect yourself. The glove's up, but the head get out of the way.
Goodness.
I wonder what the exit velocity on that was. I'm sure somebody will figure it out.
You're on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, I know it was a hit.
Charlie Blackmon has been on base once with a walk, but he is 0 for 3. 2 down, 9th inning, and across for a called strike at the knee. Red Sox homestands in June will be 3 with Toronto, and then a long one beginning the 14th of June. Baltimore, Seattle, and the White Sox. So 3 good clubs coming in. That's the 14th of June through the 23rd. That should be a lot of fun right in the middle of the month. 0-1. Flared to left center field. That one dropping into the alley. Jackie Bradley will cut it off on a bounce. Adames down into third. He'll stop there on the base hit. So it's not done yet. They're safe on the corners. MLB.TV Premium is everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game of all 30 teams in true high def on over 400 supported devices. Visit MLB.TV for details. That'll bring up LeMahieu, who has gone 1 for 4 with a single. Tazawa trying to put a cap on it. Red Sox in the lead 10-3. There are 2 down. Runner at first will break, and it's across for a strike. Blackmon into second, but no stolen base awarded to him. If you're just joining us, just catching the tail end here, Red Sox certainly hope that's the case. Jackie Bradley has extended his hitting streak to 29 in a row. Xander Bogaerts has belted his 5th home run, and Stephen Wright went 7+. He's in line for his 4th win, and a really fine outing again. It's been a big night for the man in left field as well. 2 triples for Blake Swihart.
Well, they should do their dance if they win this one right in the outfield. Whatever they do, they get Swihart, you get Bradley, you get Betts out there, and each have had a good night.
Yeah, that's become a regular occurrence every time the Red Sox win. The outfielders get together and they do that pose where they take a picture.
Yeah, that's like must-see TV.
One ball and 2 strikes. 2 down and 2 on for Colorado in the 9th. And here it comes. He fights that one off. That was a splitter. Taz throwing a lot of strikes, 20 pitches and 15 for strikes. A lot of smiles in that crowd tonight here on Yawkey Way. Here comes the 1-2. Into the dirt, and he checked his swing.
First 2 strikeouts of the inning coming on the split-fingered fastball. Tried it right there, but couldn't get the chase.
These fans want it to end right here. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Tazawa deals. Swing and a miss, and that will end it. The Red Sox win this one, going away again by a final score of 10-3. And now 12 games over the 500 mark. It's always something. Jackie Bradley, 29 in a row, TC, and the beat goes on at Fenway Park.